Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is officially playing out the short-term bullish divergence, but we still have liquidity building below the price of Bitcoin, which we need to be aware of, while Ethereum is now once again retesting this crucial area on the price chart, still currently acting as short-term resistance, while the price of XRP is now continuing a decent bounce from this very significant area of support. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. But on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have that massive bearish divergence, technically still active and influencing the price of Bitcoin as it has been doing over the last couple of months, as I've been saying here on the channel for months now. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, we're still showing a very small amount of bearish momentum. But with that being said, we're not really seeing significant momentum to either direction. So we could likely play out some short-term bullish moves, short-term bearish moves, but overall, in terms of the much larger moves in the market on the larger time frames, obviously right now we're just lacking momentum, actually looking quite neutral when it comes to the larger momentum in the market. And if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin price chart, the good news, at least for now, is that we're still holding above this previous low, which means we're potentially forming a higher low here and holding above a very crucial area of support, which is this area in between around 106.7k to 107.6k. So obviously that is still strong support to pay attention to, as we have seen in the past, an important bounce, multiple bounces from that area. And as of recording this video, right now the price of Bitcoin in the short term is testing this potential point of resistance here based on previous support flipping into new resistance, which is at around 110,500. So really in between around 110,000 to 111,000. Expect potentially some resistance around here. But if we break through ideally 111,000, well above that point of resistance, in that situation, the next major point of resistance is at give or take 113.5k. And then of course, if Bitcoin can ultimately break out above that level, we may end up finding a small amount of resistance at 114.5k based on previous important support flipping into new resistance. But ultimately above that area, the next significant point of resistance is at give or take 117,000. And if we're zooming into the shorter term, taking a look at the 4-hour Bitcoin price chart, we can clearly see that as of recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is continuing to play out the short-term bullish divergence that I've already been talking about over the last few days. And so obviously we still have lower lows confirmed in the price and higher lows in the RSI. And obviously the RSI is continuing this bullish move out of oversold territory. So ultimately all of this is still playing out. All of this is still currently active in terms of the short-term bullish divergence, which means expect a little bit more of a short-term bullish relief as a very likely outcome. Usually at worst, the bullish divergence plays out maybe in the form of some choppy sideways price action before maybe a continuation of the bearish trend later on. But oftentimes we do end up seeing at least some sort of slight bullish move in the following days after a bullish divergence on the 4-hour time frame. And so with this still playing out, still currently active, just continue to expect this same sort of price action that we've seen over the last couple of days moving forward. Some slight bullish price action, not necessarily showing significant momentum back towards the upside, but ultimately a bit of a short-term relief is still likely here. But once again, pay attention to points of resistance where the price could possibly struggle at or reject from along the way. And also keep in mind that on the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, as of recording this video, we still have significant liquidity building below the price. Now, of course, we also have liquidity all the way back up here, but I'll talk about that in just a moment. For now, of course, once again, we still have a lot of liquidity at around 108.1k to 108.5k. So basically just below the price of Bitcoin right around here, we still have a decent amount of liquidity building for Bitcoin. And now, as I always say, there's no such thing as a 100% guarantee. So it is technically possible we could just continue a bit of a bullish relief here without taking out that liquidity. But with that being said, most of the time, not every time, but most of the time, the price of Bitcoin tends to move towards where we have a lot of liquidity, especially if that liquidity is relatively close to the current price. And so perhaps in a couple of days from now, for example, after we already start to play out this bullish divergence here, maybe for a little longer first, it is possible we could come back down to take out that liquidity at some stage. So keep that in mind. That's still a possible warning to consider. And then of course, we still have a lot of liquidity all the way up here as well at around 118 to 119,000, give or take. So obviously just above this high right here. But obviously between the current price and that much higher level of liquidity all the way up here, we have a lot of resistance that we first need to break out above in order to actually hit that higher liquidity. So keep that in mind. Those points of resistance along the way are the first price targets to pay attention to if we continue to play out this short-term bullish relief. And now, considering the fact that this bullish divergence is still playing out here in the short term, I've actually just opened a small Bitcoin long position. As always, not financial advice, but I'm just simply looking to take advantage of this potentially continuing to play out maybe a little longer. Don't necessarily expect this to play out over weeks or months, maybe just another couple of days could be a likely scenario here. And so basically, as I press record on this video, pretty much right now at the current prices, you can clearly see I entered this small Bitcoin long position, just a $200,000 Bitcoin long position to try to take advantage of this short-term bullish relief. But of course, if we ultimately dip down towards that lower liquidity here, I'll just look to potentially close that trade quickly. So this is not necessarily a massive trade that's going to make life-changing money. It's potentially just looking to profit from a bit more of a bullish relief here. And then if the price, for example, gets up towards around 113, 114,000, personally, that would be a decent take profit point out of a long position, not closing the entire trade, just taking some profits. And then especially if we could make it all the way back up towards around 117,000, I'd be closing a decent portion of the trade up there. If the price actually gets there, obviously not financial advice. I'm just sharing what I'm currently doing with my own money. And if you want to take trades just like this for yourself to make profits in the crypto market, no matter what direction the price is going, using long positions or short positions, then of course you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And personally, I'm taking this trade right here over on Bitfinex. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bitfinex below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim massive trading and deposit bonuses. For example, you can claim up to 120,000 USDT out of a major prize pool here simply just by trading crypto using that link. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check it out. Once again, first link below this video. And on top of trading bonuses, there's also deposit bonuses. For example, if you deposit as little as $100, you get a $20 bonus. Or if you deposit 1,000 USDT, you get a $200 bonus onto your Bitfinex account. Basically free money from the exchange, which you can use to actually trade over on Bitfinex just by simply depositing, making an account using that link. But unfortunately, if you don't use the link below this video, you can't claim any of these bonuses here. And in case you're wondering, Bitfinex is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want Bitfinex as an exchange, there's also 2bit as another exchange out there that I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video. And if you use that link, you can also get massive trading bonuses over here. I'll take you to this page where you can claim up to 10,000 USDT in travel fund bonuses and 8,000 USDT in actual withdrawable stablecoins, just simply by depositing and trading crypto using that link. And on top of trading bonuses, there's also this $30 sign up bonus without making any deposit or any trades. No deposit, no trade required. You get a free $30 sign up bonus just by simply making an account using the link below this video to 2bit. And you also get 1 month free VIP 3 upgrades. So basically very cheap trading fees over on 2bit, but only if you use that link. And in case you're wondering, yes, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance on the 3-day time frame, and right now, technically this short-term bullish divergence is still currently active, but ultimately we're not really seeing significant momentum to either direction. As always, a bullish divergence likely results in just a slight bullish relief or maybe some choppy sideways price action, not necessarily a massive high momentum movement towards the upside. And so the price action that we're currently seeing in the Bitcoin dominance is actually very normal, a very common outcome from a bullish divergence. And considering this is still currently active, and this will likely at least continue to play out over the next few days, maybe longer, maybe the next 1 or 2 weeks, but at least the next 1 or 2 days, expect basically the same sort of price action that we've seen over the last 1 week here, 1 to 2 weeks, with this slight little relief playing out, but kind kind of lacking bullish momentum. And so of course that means that a lot of altcoins will likely perform either very similar to Bitcoin or maybe slightly underperform Bitcoin. So it's unlikely we're going to see a massive altcoin season at any time in the next few days or over the next 1 week, in other words. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, right now the price of ETH is still running into this very important area of support based on previous very significant resistance, now acting as new support, which is sitting in between around 3.9k to 4.1k. And so obviously the good news is that the price is still holding this area, at least as of right now, still holding it as support, which means there still seems to be a lot of buyers in this area on the price chart, obviously supporting the price of ETH. And if we're taking a look at the somewhat shorter term on the 8-hour time frame, we can see that technically speaking, the price structure here in the short term is still technically bearish, forming lower highs and lower lows, as we can see, breaking below points of support and not yet breaking out back above resistance. But speaking about resistance, as of recording this video, right now the price of ETH is testing this area, obviously still somewhat struggling around the area, but now testing the area again in between around 40.60 to 4.1k. And so as we can see here, previously this area has been important support for the price of ETH over the last few weeks, over the last 1 or 2 months, in fact, since all the way back here near mid to end August. This has been important support for the price in the short term, and now just over the last few days or so has been acting as a resistance. So this is the immediate resistance, the first obstacle that the price needs to break out above in order to potentially start flipping a little bit more bullish again and targeting the next points on the price chart, next points of resistance, which in that case, if we confirm a breakout above 4.1k with at least candle closes confirming above that level and holding above that level, in that situation, I'd be targeting at least 4.2k, likely towards around 42.50, give or take, as the next major point of resistance based on previous significant support flipping into new resistance. And as I always say, expect similar price action for Ethereum and a lot of altcoins as to what Bitcoin is doing. So for example, if Bitcoin's playing out this bullish divergence, playing out a bit of a bullish relief right now, of course, this could likely help Ethereum and other altcoins also play out some short-term bullish movements. So keep that in mind. If Bitcoin's playing out a bullish move, that increases the probability that Ethereum could eventually break out back above this area. But also keep in mind, if the Bitcoin dominance is also playing out a short-term bullish relief, it means altcoins can still play out some bullish price action if the Bitcoin price is playing out bullish price action, but maybe not as much as what Bitcoin is doing. So kind of just lagging behind Bitcoin a little bit is ultimately what is very likely for Ethereum and a lot of major altcoins. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 2-day time frame, obviously right now the price of Solana is perfectly bouncing from my exact area of support that I've been targeting for a while, since basically all the way back up here. Essentially the moment we broke below around $230, as I said, all the way back up there, if we confirm a break below 230, expect to move at least down towards around 215, 216, which was a possible point of support. But once we broke through that level, the next major target was 190 to 200. And obviously right now, still acting as major support in between 190 to 200. And so continue to expect support in this area, as I've already been saying since before the bounce. And as for resistance, in case we see a bit more of a bounce here, I'll now expect some resistance at roughly 215 to 216. But if we break out back above that level, honestly expect to move back up towards around 230. But once again, the immediate resistance to watch out for around 215 to 216. And also in the somewhat shorter term here on the 12-hour Solana price chart, at least as of right now, at the time of recording this video, we're still playing out this bounce from oversold in the 12-hour Solana RSI, which is of course something that I talked about a couple of days ago, all the way back down here right at the lows. I said it's quite likely now we're going to see a bit of a relief, a bit of a break now from all of the bearish price action over the next few days is a very likely scenario, considering we hit very oversold in the RSI, and a normal reaction to that signal is either a bit of a bounce or a bit of a bullish relief, some sort of basically break from all of the bearish price action, helping to reset the RSI out of oversold. And so once again, that's still playing out and will likely continue to play out at least over the next 1 1 or 2 days just in the short term here. Not necessarily enough confirmation to confirm the complete end of this larger bearish move, this pullback right here, but overall just in the short term, do expect a little bit more of a relief as a very likely scenario, especially if Bitcoin is playing out the same. Obviously right now playing out a bit of a short-term bullish move, that's also going to influence Solana and a lot of altcoins. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP, obviously on the weekly time frame, if you've been watching my videos over the last few months, not just the last few days, but the last few months, on that much larger time frame, we still have that massive bearish divergence. So that's really not changed over the last 1 day. But here on the daily XRP price chart, looking at the somewhat shorter term here, the price is continuing at least a short-term bounce from this important area of support where we've previously seen many crucial bounces from this area over the last couple of months. And of course, in case you're new to the channel, this area of support is sitting in between around $2.70 to $2.80. And obviously I've been talking about how important this area of support is for the price since before we perfectly bounced from my exact level. So obviously this is some good news to pay attention to for the price of XRP in the short term. It's good news that we're actually holding this area because, as I've mentioned recently here on the channel, if the price, for example, confirms a daily candle close below around $2.70, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, flipping it into new resistance, in that situation, that would be very bad news for at least the following days, most likely the next few weeks or months for the price of XRP. That would be very bad news if we actually confirm a strong break below that area. But for now, once again, we're still holding this as support and currently bouncing from this area, which is some good news in the short term. And as for resistance to watch out for, in case the price continues this bounce here, we could potentially find some resistance around this previous high, still acting as resistance at give or take $2.86 to $2.87, more resistance at around $2.93, and major resistance in this area in between around $3.10 to $3.15. And once again, as I always say, expect something similar for XRP and a lot of altcoins as to what Bitcoin is doing. So if Bitcoin's playing out a bit of a bullish divergence right now in the short term, a bullish relief in the short term, expect something similar for XRP and a lot of altcoins, which means we're likely going to see a little bit more of a bounce here moving forward, just at least in the next few days. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, technically Chainlink, at least for now, is still within this larger bearish price structure, forming lower highs and lower lows. But in the immediate short term, we're still currently bouncing from this important area of support that I've been targeting since before we perfectly bounced from that area, which is of course sitting in between around $19 to $20. So the moment the price dipped into that area just below $20, that's exactly where the price bounced from, as we can see. And so with Bitcoin and other major altcoins continuing short-term bounces, short-term bullish reliefs, bouncing from major points of support, expect something similar for Chainlink, as we are bouncing from a major point of support here that I've been targeting since basically $22 onwards. And so now that we're likely continuing a bit more of a bounce here, of course, expect major resistance again at approximately $22. So if the price can make it all the way back up there, I'd expect a lot of resistance really in between $22 towards around $22.30. And remember, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim the massive bonuses that are only available using those links. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check it out. Once again, links below these videos. And if you want to actually know how you can take trades just like this for yourself to make a lot of quick and easy profits in crypto, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.